Hey, this is Stevie Rochelle from Tough and Metal Sludge, your favorite website. You are locked and loaded on the Music Mania podcast.
You ready for some screaming heavy metal? We rock!
But the evil that men do lives on.
We gonna bang your head!
You are now listening to the Music Mania podcast, brought to you by CD Warehouse in Gladstone, the #1 hard rock podcast in the Midwest, featuring hard-hitting interviews with rock's living legends. And now, here's your host, Clint Switzer.
The Music Mania podcast is back and better than ever, and the summer rolls along right here with us on the Music Mania podcast. I'm your host, Clint Switzer. Cannot thank you enough for joining me. And today, it is all about the Rock and Roll Express Tour. 3 Doors Down, Collective Soul, and Soul Asylum are out there on a summer-long trek that has been already going on for quite a while and is going to go all the way through October. This has been one of the surprise hit tours of the summer, and I'll tell you what, it's been tremendous. You talk about just the songwriters that are on this tour, with Brad Arnold from 3 Doors Down, from Ed Roland from Collective Soul, Dave Pirner, one of the most underrated songwriters from Soul Asylum. What a pairing this has been. We're going to be talking with bassist from Collective Soul, Will Turpin, in our first segment, and then Chris Henderson from 3 Doors Down is going to be joining us in the second segment. So this podcast, way too big for just one interview. We've got two, and it's all about the Rock and Roll Express, because I've been on a Rock and Roll Express odyssey of my own this summer, covering shows from coast to coast. It has been a dream come true. This has been truly one of the greatest summers I've ever been a part of, and doing what I love to do, which is cover concerts, do reviews, do interviews, and just live and immerse myself in this music that I love so much. And you know what? People that say things like, hey, the Music Mania podcast, it's really just one-dimensional. It's all about 80s rock. Well, that's not true, because we're going into the 90s and 2000s with this tour, and you got to know the importance of bands like Collective Soul and 3 Doors Down. 3 Doors Down, huge. You think about back in 2000 when Kryptonite hit, that band was galactic. It was on top of the world. Collective Soul has been just really solid. I've seen them twice in the last couple years, and their live shows are tremendous. We had Dean Rowland on the show last summer, so now we're going to be talking to bassist Will Turpin, who's been there since 1993, and we're going to be talking to him about his new solo album, the new Collective Soul live album, and of course this tour. Man, it has just been such a tremendous pleasure to do this, and while I'm going to be doing a football-related documentary coming up here this fall, so the podcast, the music podcast side of things is going to have to take a bit of a back seat. Still going to be doing interviews whenever I can, and keeping the show alive, of course, through the fall and winter. But summers are whenever things really pick up for us, and we will be, of course, here and doing that next summer as well. But we can't thank you enough for being a part of our summer of fun here. It has been a tremendous one. If you have a concert review, something that you've seen, send us an email, musicmania@podcast@gmail.com. But guys, before we bring on our first guest, Will Turpin from Collective Soul, I've got to tell you about our sponsor, CD Warehouse in Gladstone, Missouri. For over 22 years, a staple of the Northland. Guys, they buy, sell, and trade CDs, DVDs, vinyl, and more. Do not let the vibe of the old school record store fall by the wayside. Get a hold of the owner, Randy Ringer. Tell him Music Mania sent you, and he will give you a discount, or it's on us, guys. CD Warehouse, Gladstone, Missouri, a staple of the Northland for over 22 years. How's everything going, man?
Going well, man. We're rocking and rolling down the road, man.
Absolutely. This tour, let's start there.
I should say down the tracks. This is the Rock and Roll Express.
I was going to say, we're on the Rock and Roll Express, man. This thing started July 6th, and now here we are a month into this. This thing goes all the way to October. This is over 36 dates. I mean, this is a long tour. You guys staying fresh out there and keeping the energy up. I mean, this is a long deal, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, man. Collective Soul's we got a thing. We're good at like just making sure we focus on the stage, and we still throw a ton of energy out there.
Well, you guys are in Dayton, Ohio tonight. Yeah, you can go to collectivesoul.com to see all the dates that go all the way through the fall, which is awesome. I mean,
it kind of goes through September 20th, and then there's one date October, but it's kind of a benefit. It's just kind of a one-off.
That's right, and out there with Three Doors Down, man, out there with Soul Asylum on selected dates. I mean, just talk the songwriters on this deal: Brad from Three Doors Down, Ed Rowland from Collective Soul, and Dave Perner. Man, this is some heavy songwriting credits up in here. This is good stuff, man.
I agree. It's been real cool to watch. Soul Asylum. We've had the chance over the years to play with Three Doors Down and love those guys, good friends. But I've never had the chance in 24 years to play with Soul Asylum. It's been fun to watch them and hang out with them too.
Well, you talk about the visibility. Collective Soul seems to be kind of at a high visibility-wise. Just a couple years ago, saw you guys at Rocklahoma, huge festival. Then last summer, caught you guys here in Kansas City at Rockfest, going on right before the likes of Sammy Hagar, Ed Rat, and some huge bands here. Talk about the visibility of this band, because you guys just released a live album, last year, and the visibility is really high right now. A lot of big shows, big tours. Yeah. That's got to be gratifying right now.
Yeah, it feels good because it's 24 years later, and next year the visibility will not get any lower. We're planning a whole lot of stuff for the 25-year tour. So increasing our profile right now is it's been really cool. I think in the early days we were definitely popular. I mean we were buzzbin. We were popular as crap, but we took a number of years off there in the 2000s, and we focused on kind of doing theater tours and focusing on our music and our style. And now it's more about let's get in front of the bigger crowds. Let's throw down at the festivals. Let's get on the multi-band packages, and we're still releasing music, man. When we create music together, it still has that magic feeling. I mean, hairs stand up on my skin when we're recording these new tunes, which is a whole nother thing. But yeah, we got 25 songs we're going to release next year for the 25-year anniversary, and there's no. I mean, it's been one of Collective Soul things over the years. There's not a lot of filler on our records, and I swear, man, 25 tunes, and they're all special in their own way, man.
That's going to be awesome. Look so much forward to that. I mean, you guys have been around and done so many great things. And talk about Ed Rowland as a singer and as a frontman, because I find him like incredibly underrated. A guy that kind of had a vision for Collective Soul before the band was even put together. Recording Shine and doing he had kind of this vision, and just such a down to earth band you guys are. I saw Ed Rowland out there rocking out to Sammy Hagar an hour or two after you guys went on stage here at Rockfest last year, just in the crowd with a beer in his hand, like he was a fan out there. That's really cool. You guys are down to earth, and Ed's he's a guy with a vision, man. No other way to put it. He's a guy with a vision.
Yeah, man. I mean, I tell this story a lot, but I mean, my entire memory of my life, I've known Ed deep. So, and it's Ed's vision, but like we're buddies, and there's a chemistry there that's magical. And when it comes to like Sammy, that goes back to the '95 Dallas tour we did with Van Halen.
That's right.
Michael Anthony was on tour with Sammy last year. He's doing it's called Sammy and the Circle of Friends. So that means those friendships, not to mention their musicianship and their songs, but those friendships, especially Michael and Sammy, mean the world to us. And I cannot overestimate how much those friendships mean to us, how they treated us in '95 when I was 24 years old. Ed would have been 30. How they treated us, how they taught us, and how they continue to teach us and continue to be, I'm not father figure, but big brother figure. They're big brothers to us, and I can't overestimate how special that is to us. And believe me, man, we're all up there watching and singing every one of those songs. Every night we played with them, we would all catch at least half of their set every time.
That's so tremendous, and that's just something that caught my eye and something that music's all about. It's such a wonderful thing that kind of binds so many people together, and you think about just the collaborations and the connections you have with them. And I remember that Balance tour, and it was kind of at the time, it was almost like a strange thing, like Collective Soul going out with Van Halen. Van Halen was always kind of known to take out kind of up-and-coming bands. That was kind of the first in the line of an example of that. But want to get into this solo album, Will, because that's really a major reason why I wanted to talk to you, man, because for one, this is an amazingly layered, tremendous musicianship on this album, Serengity Drivers. It came out June 8th. Kind of first off, talk about how you ever found the time to do this. This is your first EP, man. I know you came out with or your first LP, came out with an EP back in 2012, but talk about how you found the time to do this and kind of putting this thing together.
Yeah, I mean, it does take a little bit because, I mean, you know, pretty much from April through September, you know, Collective Soul's pretty busy. And then, you know, even if I have like 10 days off in the summer while Collective Soul's working, it's like, you know, I got to get back to family and I got to get back to normal things. I can't go right back in the studio. So it did take a little over 3 years, but the songwriting for me is just, you know, when I've got a bass on my neck and we're rocking with riffs and we got a full band and we're exploring songs, or Ed's showing me stuff that he's written. That's one style that I like to do. But what really was the origination, really, with my musicianship was the piano, and it was my first instrument. Obviously, started playing when I was around 8 years old. Started playing drums around 8 years old too. So I mean, I've just always been around music, and I know a lot of instruments. So when I sit down in a different mood in my house, either in my living room or downstairs on the roads or something, that's where these songs come from. And they're just different, you know, a different, more laid back style the Collective Soul is. Probably, I'm not very good at describing music. I know that things sound different, but when you start describing stuff, I'm not really good at that. But it's different, you know. I think when people listen to this record, they don't hear a lot of Collective Soul references. I think there's a few that you might hear a Collective Soul vibe, but for the most part, you know, when I start these melodies and play them on piano, it's you know, it kind of comes in lightning bolt moments when I'm just messing around, and you know, it's songwriting, man. I think good songwriting is kind of a mysterious thing. I'm not sure that any of the guys, if I were to ask Dave or to ask Ed, it's, you know, and I know what Ed thinks about it. If you sit down and try to force yourself to write a song, it's not effective at all. So, you know, I'm just blessed to be able to have the time and slowly, you know, put in these minutes to finish a record. Serengity Drivers kind of references what I wanted to do when I knew I had a full-length record, which was incorporate a lot of my longtime friends that were musicians into the recording. So you'll see basically all the ex-Collective Soul drummers on there, and some other great friends that I've known. Most of these guys I've known 20 years. The other guy who plays bass, I always like to mention him. He plays bass on 3 songs, Mark Wilson. His father and my father were great friends. I remember Mark when he was, you know, I would have been mid-20s. He's 10 years younger than me. I remember when he was 13, 14 playing bass, you know. So it's really special to me to have those relationships on the record. And I just did it. I did mainly I get the time. I get a lot of time basically between like Halloween and all the way through February is kind of when I get a lot of time. So.
Well, how important is it for you kind of individually, because you so many artists that are a part of a machine, which I consider Collective Soul to be a machine, and that being that is constantly you're recording and touring, but for you personally to have that creative outlet, I mean, that's got to be important. You talk about how it's different than Collective Soul. It should be different. It comes from you. It comes from inside you. It's your introspective look on whatever you're feeling at that time. And I mean, this album, a lot of themes. I mean, like love, honesty, betrayal, spiritual boundaries. I mean, it's comes from within you, and it's got to be a wonderful creative outlet for you.
Yeah, I think and we think about it this way too as a band. I think some people too hear like, oh, you're releasing a solo record. Well, you know, what's going on with Collective Soul? And I really think that's the wrong opinion or wrong perspective to take, especially when it comes to me, Ed, and Dean. Our perspective is, well, that's going to make us stronger as individuals. And when we come back to Collective Soul, it's like we've recharged our batteries, and it makes Collective Soul better. I mean, that's how we look at it. And now that we've done it now over the last 5 or 6 years, all of us have released side projects. We know that that's the best way to do it. It recharges our battery. It fills our soul up with a different type of artistry. And when we get back to Collective Soul, it's better.
That's a lot of bands will say things very similar to that, and that's very interesting. And I want to go back to this because you've talked about in interviews before how around the time you started writing for this is when your wife was diagnosed with cancer. Just kind of talk about how that maybe not only changed your perspective on writing and music and what you wanted from this album, but just kind of in life in general. I mean, it changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, man, when you get that, especially that word, and especially when I've known people to have cancer, close friends and even relatives, but you don't really get into the medical side or the technical side of what that means. That word is a very large word, and it'll scare the shit out of you. And then you learn that there's, the word cancer means so many different things. Then you have to, take more tests, and then every little test, especially in the beginning, is like it's a fork in the road. If you get this result, if you get this result, okay, cool, all right, we got options. If we get this result. So in the beginning, it was a shock because we still had to wait for other results. We still had other appointments. And that shock, man, that life and death shock, man, especially when you're married to, your love of your life and you've got 3 children, it'll rock you for a little bit. I just kind of, for me, it did manifest itself in some of the songs for sure. But I would just try to stay close to Donna and just wait for the next result and not panic, not panic about it. And sure enough, man, pretty much all the important tests and pathology that we had to wait for, almost everything turned out best case scenario for her. Even though she had an aggressive cancer, they caught it early enough, and so she's cancer free now. She's got like maybe one more surgery for reconstruction. It's been a tough road. She had 7 surgeries last year, but God, man, we're very fortunate. We're very lucky, and it's just one of those things, man. Life. Nobody said life was fair, and life is certainly full of surprises, good and bad, and it's just part of it. And the older you get, the more you realize that.
Well, that's very well said, and definitely, keep you guys in our thoughts, because we battling something like that, and no one can really understand until it affects you, it affects your family, and it has for so many of us. So we'll definitely be keeping you guys in our thoughts and prayers, because it's all one big music community, and we support all you guys, and Will, for personally, I've just always been such a big fan, and really enjoy everything you guys have done in this new solo album, and just we'll keep going on that, man. Positive vibes from here for sure, man.
Much appreciated. Thanks, man.
Before we let you go, Will, I want to get into this Collective Soul live album. It came out in I believe back in December of 2017. This is really the first live album that you guys have done in this way anyway. This is really cool, and I'm a live album guy. Like I listen to Kiss Alive nonstop. Like, it's my favorite Kiss album. You know what I mean? Like, so live albums are so.
That would probably be my favorite Kiss album. You know what?
Right on.
Like, something about Kiss Alive was great. It was just great.
Some people, I don't know if they don't get. I'm such a live music fan, so to me, to hear Collective Soul showcased in this way, it's awesome. And just kind of talk about what what the thought process was, and going into it to doing it. And our favorite live albums, Kiss Alive, they went in and touched that thing up. Talk about what you guys did.
Yeah.
If you left it as is, or how'd that work?
Yeah, man. I mean, dude. It's I'm not. Sometimes I want to stop short of sounding arrogant, but we're good. We're a good live band. We're a real good live band. But no, dude, there's absolutely no touch-ups at all. We remixed, but the thing about technology today is that affords you a real cool option with live records is we can just take a couple hard drives out here, and all we need is some type of digital interface, and we can record every night. So with that record, we took the whole summer tour and recorded every night. Now, at the end of that, we had a lot of stuff to go through, and of course we incorporated our kind of our sixth man over the last 15 years. Sean Groves, engineer, co-producer. He sifted through a lot of it. I've taken notes over the summer on which shows I thought were really, really pockety and really good, and he kind of sifted it down to a smaller sample piece, and we decided which songs from which city. And then Sean went to mixing, and then again, you know, he would send us some mixes, and we would talk about the mixes. But there's no overdubs, brother. They just we don't do it. We don't do it, man. And you know, I've heard bands live records that there's a mistake here and there. I got nothing against that, man. If the energy's right, I mean, perfection is something else that we're not. I'm not saying we're perfect, but perfection is something that's, when it comes to live music, I don't even think that's really something that you go for. I don't think you go for perfection. I think it's all about a feeling and a vibe. And, you know, obviously there's going to be nights where you're like, damn, I really screwed that section up. We're not going to choose those moments, but overall, you know, the little inconsistencies or the little things, those are gonna fly right by the listener's ears. And man, we are who we are, and that's what I want people to hear. I don't want people to hear a bunch of stuff that we went back to the studio and polished and airbrushed over, and I don't give a shit about that.
Well, you guys have always been a great live band, and to be fair, you guys didn't have to deal with Ace Frehley and Peter Criss on Substances, you know, recording. I mean, the Kiss had to deal with that, so we'll give them a pass.
And you know what? Each his own, man. I don't, you know, I'm not even judging anybody else. I'm just saying what we do, you know.
Absolutely. Will, I tell you what, I want to be sure to get all our listeners to the right place to get everything. You can go to your website, willturpin.com. You can get the album Serengity Drivers, the rest of the dates for Collective Soul's Rock and Roll Express Tour on collectivesoul.com. You can follow you on Twitter at Will Turpin Music. I get all that right, man. I'm usually pretty good at this. I think I got it all in there.
I think so, man. It's all Will Turpin, man. You search Will Turpin, you'll find it.
Yeah, right on, man.
Same thing with Collective Soul, man.
Yeah, easy to find, easy names to find. Will, I tell you what, cannot thank you enough, man. We'll have a great show tonight here in Dayton, and we will catch you guys the 25th anniversary. I'm so excited for that coming up. So many great things. Good luck with this solo album. I am a huge fan of it. In fact, I just listened to it driving up the coast of California recently, and if ever there was a perfect album to listen to for that literally was made for that almost. I mean, it's perfect for a coast drive.
Make me happy, buddy. I appreciate it,
man. Hey, Will, have a great show. We'll talk soon, man. Thanks.
All right, man. Thank you. See you, man.
See ya. Big thanks to Will Turpin for joining us. Collective Soul, man, a band I've seen live a couple times the last couple years, and now coming up, a band that I saw just 2 years ago at Rocklahoma. It's Three Doors Down. Well, it's our pleasure to go ahead and welcome to this show Chris Henderson from Three Doors Down. Chris, I believe if my geography is correct, you are joining us from Oklahoma City today.
That's it.
Well, Chris, talk about what the vibe's been like here on this Rock and Roll Express tour. You've got Three Doors Down, Collective Soul, Soul Asylum, three really good bands. Seems like a great lineup. What's the vibe been like so far?
Man, from the time the lights drop at whatever time Soul Asylum goes on until the time we leave the stage, it is song after song after song after song, and you forget, man, how many songs these Soul Asylum and Collective Soul have until they start playing them, and you're like, geez, man, this is a really cool tour, because we didn't, you know, we thought it was going to be fun, and we fans of each other, but man, I cannot believe how many hit songs Collective Soul has and how many hit songs Soul Asylum has. It's been great. Everyone's really been happy. Everyone loves the other bands. It's really cool. You know, on social media after the show, we always encourage people to take pictures and put them on Instagram and tag us. And after the show, we'll go and we'll read the comments, you know what I mean, like all that good stuff, and look at the pictures, make sure that everything's looking good and feeling good. And just the comments have just been so positive, and everyone's really enjoying all three bands. And let me tell you, the guy from Soul Asylum, his voice has not changed a bit. It sounds like the first. I mean, it's incredible. The guy can sing so well. Well, and Ed as well. It's really great.
No
and the
question.
Guitar players, man. The guitar players in Collective Soul rip.
Well, Chris, it seems like Three Doors Down's visibility has really picked up in the last few years. I mean, you guys have played some really big festivals. I saw you guys at Rocklahoma, going on right before the Scorpions, and at Rockfest here in Kansas City with a lot of big eclectic bands. Talk about the visibility of the band. It's got to be a great feeling for you guys right now.
Yeah, it's really cool. And we've been doing this a really long time, and to see, we've had our ups and downs, obviously, and, we've had our share of controversies and all that good stuff, but we just kept on plugging away and tried to make the next right decision. That was the right decision for us and the fans. And it's nice to be able to just kind of sit back and do a tour, 20 years later. And and not a lot of people get that opportunity, man.
Talk about how in 2000 things changed for you guys. You guys released The Better Life. It's been 18 years ago, believe it or not. You joined the band in 1998, and then just a couple years later, things went just galactic for Three Doors Down. Just talk about that and how things changed in just a couple years' time for you.
Well, it's funny. Everything changed. I mean, I went from working construction. Well, basically, I wasn't working construction. I was a maintenance supervisor at a coating facility. But I went from working 9-to-5 job to, touring the world for a living, and it hasn't stopped. And I thought that, I don't know, 6-7 months down the road, the record would be done, and people would be tired of us, and it would be this, and it would be that, and everyone expected us to fail, and they didn't expect us to do well, and they didn't expect us to do well again, and you kind of buy into that kind of mindset, and if you're not careful, it can get in your head and really make life difficult. But we never did that. We stayed positive, and we pushed forward, and we continued to write. And that's all we do now. You know what I mean? But life changed 100%. It changed from getting up every day at the same time to doing a lot of different things and getting to see a lot of different things on planet Earth. And I'm grateful for that.
Well, Chris, I'm so glad to be able to talk to you about music and this tour, but I know you're a big LSU fan. We also have a sports show here, and I've got to ask you about the Tigers this year because a lot of prognosticators have them picked down 4th or 5th in the SEC West, and I'm just gonna bet you disagree with those predictions.
Well, you know what? I got to see the quarterback. I mean, they only put him in. They only put him in a couple times last year. I wasn't impressed, and I wasn't impressed with the quarterback position at LSU for the last couple of years, to be honest with you. So we got to see the quarterback, and we got to see what's happening down there. And who knows, man? He might surprise us. Etling for me was, I'm going to say, he did what he did, but he's vanilla. We need some excitement. We need somebody that can hit the flat, somebody that can pass the ball. So we'll see what this guy can do.
So you grew up in Mississippi. How does it happen? How do you become an LSU fan, kind of crossing the border there? How did that all go down, and how did you become a fan of the Tigers?
Well, I grew up in Mississippi, but I did football in Louisiana. I lived in West Wego, which is right outside of New Orleans when I was a kid.
Okay.
For a little while, and you just get caught up in it, and Baton Rouge and the Saints, and just get caught up in that whole thing down there. It's like it's a way of life. It isn't just a team that people like. I live in Nashville now, and there's people up there that like the Titans. They love the Titans, but there's not. You don't see Titan tattoos. You don't see it like you do down there, and it's a way of life in Louisiana. We got football something special, and I only grew up about 90 miles from New Orleans anyway, so it's everybody down there loves it.
So I know you live in Nashville now, and there's an SEC team, the Vanderbilt Commodores, there in Nashville, but it's probably not going to be quite the same as it was going to LSU games. I don't think Vanderbilt Stadium quite has the caveat of Tiger Stadium at LSU.
Oh man, look, let me tell you something. You can go to a Vanderbilt game on Saturday morning. You can decide Saturday morning if you want to go to a Vanderbilt game. You can get in your car, you can drive down there, you can park, you can get out, go buy a ticket, go in and watch the game, get back in your car, and go home. You can't do that in Baton Rouge.
Nope.
You got to go find a parking space, especially for an SEC game. There's going to be 100,000 people, and they're all going to be. It's crazy at Tiger Stadium, and it's one of the best experiences you can ever have watching a football game. Let me tell you.
Well, thanks to Chris, we did lose him off the line there, and he only had a certain amount of time there, so we did lose him. We had another couple questions for Chris, but we got cut off, and his time was really limited. That was a show day for him, so want to thank him for joining us, and want to thank Will Turpin as well Really want to express how important this tour, the Rock and Roll Express Tour, is doing great, doing really good numbers. The reviews are awesome. So I want you to definitely go check out Three Doors Down's website or Collective Soul's website to see the tour. It runs through the rest of the summer, and it's going to go all the way to October. This weekend, it's in Guilford, New Hampshire, and then Holmdel, New Jersey, before heading to Brookhaven, New York, and Uncasville, Connecticut. So a lot of dates still. Check them out. Go to collectivesoul.com, go to threedoorsdown.com, and you can check those out. Guys, we can't thank our guests enough here for joining us. We can't thank you enough for checking the show out. Hope you will subscribe to us either on iTunes or YouTube. Send us a tweet at musicmania_show. Again, all the concert reviews, everything we do, all the interviews are archived on the website, musicmaniapodcast.com. So please check us out through those avenues as well. We'll be back next week with one of my favorite interviews. It's already in the can. I've been trying to pull this off for a couple years, guys, but Tough Singer, Tales from the Porn Singer, Metal Sludge CEO himself, Stevie Rochelle, will be joining me next week for a long, in-depth conversation about everything from football, 80s rock, Tough, starting out on the LA club scene. It's going to be an awesome one. Do not miss next week. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you're out there enjoying some live music, enjoying your buddies, enjoying a cold beverage. That's what summers are for. Thanks so much for joining us right here on the Music Mania Podcast.